Welcome back to the third segment of the Loveland Report and Lone Ranger Show. We've been talking about interest rates. We've been talking about what's going on in the market, inventory. We're still hovering on the edge of a buyer's market, but we're still in a seller's market and prices are still rising. What's your real estate plan? Call me. I'll help you work one out if you don't have one. And Bruce has been talking about what's going on with Hometown Heroes. I think that's the biggest news.
So Hometown Heroes just had a big change. So we've been expecting $100 million. And last time they doled out $100 million, it only lasted for less than 2 months, but it was opened up to all occupations. Originally, when the program came, you had to be like a teacher, a law enforcement, firefighter, veteran. Now it looks like they're going to go back to that because they reduced it back to $50 million from $100 million. That's not going to last very long, but it is going to eliminate a lot of folks that have been sitting on the fence waiting for Hometown Heroes, because now that they're changing the rules on that, it's going to make a big difference for you. So if you are not some type of a hero, a teacher, firefighter, law enforcement, correction officer, veteran, could be any number of those things. And there is a long list of what qualifies, but now if you are a plumber, you're not going to work. If you work for Walmart, it's not going to work. So it's going to eliminate a lot of folks. So there's less money and there's more restrictions. So it still remains to be seen. They're also saying that it may not even be available on July 1st. We got a lot of folks that have been sitting on the fence waiting for that to happen. Now we're getting some pushback as to when exactly the funds are going to be released.
If somebody's going to buy, we can get the seller to pay closing costs. That was a nice grant. It's icing. It's the cherry on top of your sundae. But if somebody's going to buy a house, you can get them in for 3%.
I've got 0 down payment loans for. I've even got his no down payment FHA loan. It's a first and second mortgage. I've got no down payment FHA. I've got USDA 0 down payment. I got VA. But here's the thing: if you can come up with 3.5%, Cleve can negotiate.
I can get you the closing costs.
We just got one. We just got one for one of our clients that the listing agent said, you'll never get that much money. Guess what? We got that much money. And we got him in for only his 3.5%. I'm doing it down in Tampa for another client right now. We just landed the deal. And it wasn't easy negotiating all those closing costs, but we got it. Now, you can't come in and lowball the offer on the price and get the closing costs. And you're going to have to take your pick.
You'd be surprised, Bruce, how many, and the one we did, we went in at full price. And so, but the seller was still netting out, 6% less.
Absolutely.
And that's what some agents don't understand. They'll send me a low offer, and then they will also ask for $15,000 in closing costs. And I'm like, do you realize your offer's a $350 net on our $420 list price? And they're like, well, what do you mean? So
they don't understand.
Do that. Call me if you want to make a real estate plan, you want to buy a house, let my team go to work for you. But I think right now, I just think the DSCR loans, all the products you have, Bruce, they just need to be working with
bank statement loans, renovation loans. We've got construction to perm loans for builders out there that if you're building homes and you don't have enough money to build inventory, then I have construction loans. You don't need your own money. The client can get construction money from me. It's a one-time close. It's the best CP in the entire industry. I've got them here. You want to find a lot and build on it? You don't want to live in a production neighborhood? We can help you with that. We can help you find a lot and build a home. We do that every day.
What's going on with new construction? You've got great buy downs on those too, don't you?
I do. I have great buy downs. Trinity Family Builders, one of my all-time favorite communities. They'll pay all your closing costs. We can do rate buy downs. We can do permanent buy downs, temporary buy downs. I'm loving the buy. Matter of fact, that's one of the other things we did for that client that we're closing next month, that we got all the closing costs paid. I got all the closing costs paid and gave him a 2-year buy down at 1% under market rate.
Wow.
It was insane, but it was everything that he needed to buy, and you made it happen.
Well, and that was a buyer that knew what they wanted, knew where they wanted to be. They got with you, been working with them for several months.
At least
they were seeing, they signed a lease and they were seeing prices rise. So they actually are breaking their lease to get out of it.
Well,
they got a little penalty
you
there.
know what? I don't care. Break your lease, because the longer you rent, the worse off you're getting. There is no such thing as a rich renter. It doesn't exist. You can't continue to rent and be ahead of the game. If you look around at the people that you know. Just look around at the people you know, and you identify who's a homeowner and who's a renter. I will guarantee you that your renters don't have any money in the bank.
Mhm.
They don't save
Yep.
money.
Yep.
They don't have money. You look at the homeowners, they probably have a bigger 401k and they have equity in your home.
My stepson and daughter-in-law sold their home, moved up north, and
Yep.
for temporarily they were in an apartment complex. And this was a new apartment complex right in Longwood, right by the Bright Line station. And I noticed went into it was gated parking lot, went in there, everything was great, had all these amenities. And then I was looking at just the cars in the parking lot. There was no beat up 1995 Honda Accords,
No,
BMWs, Mercedes, big pickup trucks, minivans. I mean, these were nice cars.
sure.
And you know what's funny? I mean, I'm my first
These
car.
are people that parked in the apartment complex.
This is the tenants in that apartment
Yeah.
complex, and it's just people we as Americans we want our stuff,
Right.
when really it should sacrifice a little bit. The instant gratification doesn't work out well.
Well, I can tell you one thing: when it won't work out is when you are getting ready to retire, and you don't have all of the you don't have any assets. You don't have any savings. You don't have any 401k. You don't have any retirement. You're going to live off Social Security. If you are going to be in that position and you want all the fancy things right now, you're going to pay the price at the worst time in your entire life. That's when you're going to pay. And I want to help you avoid that. You have to own property in order to gain wealth. Most of you aren't going to do. Do you have to? No. You could invest in the stock market and continue to rent. It won't be the easiest way to do it. Look at Chase, my son. He's already got 180 grand in equity in his home. He couldn't save 180 grand in 10 years if he ate wieners and beans
and ramen. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He couldn't do it. So
it's the biggest step to building your
call
wealth.
me now. I will help you. Cleve will help you. You can reach the loan arranger. I'm right here, 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. Personal meetings, Zoom meetings. You come in, you will leave my office having a greater idea of how you should do it, and you don't have any mystery numbers. Let's make sure you know everything. Let's get you set up to properly go out and purchase a home. That's what I do here.
All right, Bruce, one thing off the stats we got off the inventory, the state of the market report, every single month, no matter how much inventory you have, you know what happens?
What's that?
10% of those homes fall off the market. Their listing contract runs out. They pull off if they can fire their realtor. Some people fire their realtor and sit unhappy waiting for the contract to expire. You got to be careful when you're signing that contract, or just call me. Make sure you're getting an easy exit listing. I've got some poor people that listen to the radio show. I say poor people. They're not poor. They were taken advantage of.
I thought you said core people, but you said poor people.
They had a piece of vacant land, 5 acres, that they've been trying to sell, and they did not know the realtor did not have an MLS. They did not know. Their realtor actually left the company, went to another brokerage, but didn't have new paperwork signed. And the old company's like, they finally are trying to fire him. They signed him up for a year. They don't want to pay they don't have the money to pay the cancellation fee, which is $1,500. All these things. So they're sitting there miserable, serving nobody. And even the broker won't let them out. And I asked them where's the office at, and they go, we think it's at the local bar, the corner bar stool.
Oh, gosh,
and that's where the broker runs their business.
Is that true?
And it's just that's the impression they're getting after trying to get rid of this realtor for 4 months.
I had a client the other day. She even told me, she says, I said, it seems like you got a problem with your realtor. Can we get rid of your realtor? She goes, nah, I signed an agreement. I'm stuck with him till September. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Well, look at your opportunities you've missed out on.
Those buyer broker agreements have a cancellation clause. And one thing I would let me warn you on this too. Do not pay any upfront fees to a realtor. Do not.
Well, and you know what? Here's the way I look at it. If you don't pay me an application fee to apply either.
Yeah.
If you fired me, you owe me nothing. If you fired Cleve, you owe him nothing. Yep. Why would you make a commitment to a real estate agent without an exit strategy? Why would you do that? What happens if you don't like them? What happens if you find out later they're a horrible negotiator? What if you can't reach them? What if you want to go out and look at property and they're on a 2-week cruise somewhere and they can't be reached? And that's your prime time to go out and buy. You can't do that, folks. You got to have the flexibility. So you pick the real estate agent. And here's the thing. If you pick me as a lender, and I don't perform for you, you should fire me. I can tell you, you won't, but you should if I didn't perform, if I don't return phone calls, if I don't explain things clearly, if I don't get you a great interest rate, if I don't have the lowest possible closing costs, fire me. That's what you should do.
Yep.
Fire Cleve if he doesn't do a good job. The reason we don't get fired is because we know that. And our clients have an exit strategy. So we always do everything we can in order to do the best we can for you.
What's our trend been on interest rates?
Flat.
Flat? I thought the bond market had kind of a good week last week.
It did, but it didn't. It had a better week, but we had some ups and downs. At the end of the day, we're really not that much better than we were 2 weeks ago.
So back to the buy down, you talk about, so somebody's got a $400,000 mortgage and they're going to pay $3,000 to have 5.75 the first year instead of 6.75. Yep. That buy down's still probably the best closing cost to take advantage of. There are no 5-1 or 7-1 arms, right?
No, not that you're going to want to get. No, I would. But the buy downs are very good if you believe that interest rates will eventually drop. So a temporary buy down will get you a better interest rate for a temporary period of time. It's not an adjustable rate, because as soon as that temporary time expires, and you can only go, I think, up to 3 years, then you're at current market rate. So, but it gets you affordability, and we get the seller to pay for it. So it really helps when it comes to making those payments. These are things that I explain to my buyers so they can properly negotiate a transaction. My name's Bruce Woodburn. I'm the loan arranger. I've been in the mortgage business for 35 years. I'm right here in your backyard. I'm here to help you. You can call me now at 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. Cleve Loveland, the voice of real estate here in Orlando, can be reached at 407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com. All right, Cleve.
All right. So I think, Bruce, one thing that's happening right now with my investors, we manage about 80 properties around town, raising rents again. Rents have been kind of flat. And, we always send out the letter saying, by the way, your rent's going up. We send this about 90 days before the lease is up. Your rent's going up $150. We had $100 or whatever it might be. Check here if you're staying, check here if you're moving. And we were getting people calling us going, hey, there's 4 more down the street. That's not happening this year. So we've been able to raise the rents a little bit. Depends on where you're at. I've actually gotten some very, very good high-end rentals, Bruce. Usually you get up above, depends on where you're at, but you get up above 600,000-700,000. And the returns drop off. Your rent per square foot goes much lower. The 5,000 square foot home doesn't always rent for $6,500 a month.
Nope.
And so I'm seeing some better returns on those high end homes, especially because there's no luxury apartments that are 3,000 square feet.
I've got a fully furnished home in Daytona right now that's about 1.5 miles from Embry-Riddle, 1.5 miles from Halifax Hospital, fully furnished, all utilities included, $27.99. If you know students that would like to rent that are good quality, responsible students or teachers or nurses working at the hospital, give me a call. It's a great deal. Fully furnished, includes internet, it's fully equipped. Let me know. My name is Bruce Woodburn. I'm the loan arranger. So we've covered the market. The market prices are
inventory
going
holding
up.
steady.
They're going up. Okay, we're up 1.3%. And rents are staying steady.
Yep.
Interest rates are running about 6.89%.
Yep.
For a 30-year fixed. Interest rates are better on FHA and VA than conventional. They're running closer to the mid sixes, the low sixes. Hometown Heroes has revamped, and they're going to now require you to be a hero rather than just be an anybody.
Yep.
And there's going to be only $50 million instead of $100 million. So it's going to make some changes. If you are anticipating getting Hometown Heroes and you are not falling into a category of a hero, we need to go back and revisit it. That is the market. That is what's happening on the Loveland Report and the Loan Arranger Show. Thank you for listening to us. You can reach Cleve again at
407-352-8118. I'll be working all weekend. Call me if you need help selling, buying, or managing your investment properties, or you need to make a real estate plan for your family.
Yep. Or the Loan Arranger. Call, text at 407-250-9144 or get your application started at webringyouhome.com. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great weekend.